George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Inspiration for the Nation is pleased to be joined by the Superintendent of the Syracuse City School District, Tony Davis. He's here to give us an update on some things going on and let us know of some things coming up. So let's begin. Superintendent, thank you for being on the program. He says I can call him Tony, so y'all know this is not disrespecting the brother, but so let's start with there was an incident at Fraser School not too long ago where a teaching assistant was accused of sexually assaulting a student at I think the student's age was reported at 14. What can you tell us about that incident?
I can't really get into specifics, but I can talk about the timing of things and how things unfold. Mm-hmm. When incidents like this happen, as a district, we immediately let the authorities know. So we'll contact Syracuse Police Department, and they'll start their own investigation. Mm-hmm. And during that time, as a district, we step aside. We don't do anything. The one thing that we'll do is maybe put somebody out on leave while that investigation is happening. Mm-hmm. So the timing of that really doesn't start for us until after that investigation is completed, or we're told by SPD that we can start to take action on our end. And the reason I want that clarified, because people really want information in real time. Mm-hmm. And the other piece of that is if it's a personnel matter, we are not allowed to speak to that publicly.
Right.
So I think those are important points for the community to know, because with social media these days, everybody wants to jump in and have an opinion on what should have been done or should be done. And a lot of times they don't understand the restrictions we're under. So I think, just for clarification perspective, it's a situation where we say what we can when we can say it.
Okay. All right. What can you say?
Well, I can tell you that we're being very supportive of the families. The person that has been accused is not working there, and I think that's just something that we can easily say. That's not violating anything.
They don't work for the district anymore, or they're not working at that school?
I don't know if we're that far down the road as of yet. Mm-hmm. But they're not currently working in any buildings.
Right, because the way it was reported, just for clarification, sure. The reporting is that individual, we don't have to not say his name, but anyway, the individual, it was reported that they resigned from the district. Is that something you can confirm?
I believe I'm not sure I can even speak on that. Mm-hmm. But in cases like this, that is a probability.
Okay.
So I can say it in generality. In cases like this, that is a possibility, yes.
But he's not in that building right now.
Correct.
Okay. And you were saying that, and was there more than one victim?
To my knowledge, not at this point. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean something can't come up later on, or somebody can come forward and say something happened otherwise, but that has not been any of the information I've received.
But I think you were saying that you wanted to clarify that there is not much more you can do until the police finish their investigation. And then what would happen then? What would you say after the police have concluded their findings?
So what happens is the police will determine if it's a criminal matter or not.
Okay.
So that will seek right into the justice system, mm-hmm. If it is. If it is not, we still have responsibility and the expectation as an employer as to what we believe is appropriate or not appropriate. Mm-hmm. So we would decide on, even if it wasn't a criminal matter, we could still say, this was inappropriate to the point where you are no longer an employee here. Or we could say, this is something we feel like we can help you with and deal with. So we would provide some training or something and say, maybe a different environment would work better. Mm-hmm. So we have different options that we can do once that initial investigation is over.
And are these facts confirmed or are they alleged?
As far as I know, alleged, because I'm guessing there's going to be a court case involved with this, since there was an arrest. Mm-hmm. And then the system will take over after that. So until that process is complete, we would have no idea knowing whether it's confirmed or not on that end.
I know parents, Superintendent Tony, are concerned certainly about whether something like this could happen again, and what are the assurances of that in terms of, are there things that we have to look at as a district to make sure that students are safe? And also, I guess the system worked in this case, right? Because it was reported, and there's also something about the timeline too, because the arrest happened several months after the reporting of the incident. And I'm wondering if that's when the student actually came forward, or did they come forward earlier and then now we're at this place?
So we're talking about two different pieces.
Okay.
The arrest is part of the justice system piece.
Okay.
The minute, in situations like this, the minute the district finds out something inappropriate took place, that person will be put out on leave, just as a precaution to make sure nothing else is happening in the timeline that is being investigated. So even though it was months later when the arrest took place, when anything initially is reported that we feel is to that level that someone needs to be removed, we do that immediately. So even though, and that's where I think people get really angered or annoyed that they're not getting information at that point. But at that point, we've turned it over, and we're not allowed to talk about that.
Right.
So I think that's where that timing piece comes in also.
And what about, so are there other trainings that will be offered, or is there a need for further training, or do we see this as an incident in and of itself, and it'll run its course, and that's all that there is to it?
No, I think there's always something to be learned from these situations, always. And we're hopeful that is not so harmful to our kids that it's on their backs. But when we learn more about communication. We learn more about, when and who do we get involved. One of the things I would hope that we get stronger and stronger relationships with the community as a whole, because when people do things like this, they've done them before.
Yes.
Often they've done them before.
Yes.
And someone knows they've done them before.
Oh, man. Now you're preaching my language. You're preaching my language now.
If we're allowing, as a community, if we're allowing people to stay in this environment and knowing they're in a school and knowing some history or something like that, that's who has to step up and say something.
I'll say it a different way. In the line of work that I do as a prevention education trainer of violence prevention, sexual assault prevention, intimate partner relationship prevention. One of the things we talk about, 5 social norms that allow sexual assault to occur. And of those 5 things, Superintendent, one of those things is the secrecy that families hold and allow for these types of incidents to happen. So when you say to community, that this person is a predator, and you allow that person to be in the midst without speaking on it and identifying and saying something, you're perpetuating a cycle of violence that is harming our children. I said it. You don't have to, but that is
okay. But I said in cases like this.
Right, in cases like this. But I'm saying in cases like, and I'm only saying that you said that when these kinds of things happen, other people know. And what I would like to see people begin to think about is, what is the impact of adults knowing that there is a predator? And I'm not saying that this individual is or isn't, but by those actions would be classified as, right? But if we know that and we're not saying anything about it, and then what's the impact on the child? We call it ACEs, right? Adverse childhood experiences, right? What then is the impact on that child, and how does that child then navigate through the world with adults that had the ability to protect them and didn't? And so what's the impact, and then how does that affect that person socially, emotionally?
Absolutely.
All of a sudden there's behavioral things because that person was not supported by the community in that moment. So I'm you got me on a soapbox, brother.
No, I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate it because the language I'm really trying to get people to constantly use is we.
Yes.
Let's stop pointing the fingers and saying, I can't believe the school district did this or that. We are not, as a district, we are not going out making students behave a certain way. We're not going out making students bring in weapons.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going out supplying students with drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Those things don't lie in the school. We just happen to be another part of our community that these things are happening within.
Yeah.
So it's not an entity that we're creating these issues, which is why I keep saying as a full community, we have to address them.
Yeah.
But I'm not blaming the community to say, hey, it's your fault. You're giving us these kids. They're all our kids.
Yeah.
So if we can start to think about this problem differently, I think we problem solve differently.
Yeah. And that's very critical. And you mentioned drugs. And I was just thinking about this because, there's the cannabis legalization and, shops proliferation, legal and not so legal. And we've talked about it and I've talked about it. If it's going to be sold, then what's our role as a Black community in that, in terms of that? Mm-hmm. At the same time, we know that it doesn't have an impact. And I know that it's been told to me, and I want you to put a message out about this, that parents are showing up to the school high. And I think that there needs to be a message that shouldn't be happening.
I agree with you. It definitely shouldn't be happening. We have a responsibility to our young folks to give them the best examples and role models that we can possibly give them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with anybody getting high if that's what they do.
Correct.
But our kids
time and place, right? Time and place.
These are young minds. These are young minds that are being molded by what they see. Mm-hmm. And we have to do a better job of making sure what they see is productive and will give them the opportunity to be successful. And I don't know if we're doing that as a full community at the moment. Mm-hmm. And again, I know this community is strong and this community can be 100 times better than we currently are. And I say that in the context of I grew up here. I know what it can do for us. Mm-hmm. And I'm a product and I'm blessed to have been in this community. So the people I'm around, the people I deal with are like-minded folks. They want to contribute in a positive way. And I think we have to spread that message and have everybody feel welcome to do those things and not be judged. So I'm definitely not, the things I'm saying, I'm not judging folks. I'm just saying be a positive contributor on the side of our youth,
And if you need to, relax and be stress-free, and you need to chill, do that after you deal with the school. Don't come to the school that way.
That would be helpful.
Right? Just don't come to the school that way, because, and I've said this to other people, whatever they're doing now stays in your clothes. You know what I mean? It's a whole, so just be mindful of that, right?
It's in the kids' clothes.
It's in the kids' clothes.
Yeah. It's so, you know what I mean? It's
you come into, right, because if you're coming into the school in the car and and they're in the car with you, they're gonna come out smelling like that.
Right.
Okay. I know that sounds like common sense, but maybe we just need to state the obvious sometimes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
We're talking to Superintendent Tony Davis here on Inspiration for the Nation. Right now, you have a climate survey that's just been released. What do you want to know from the community? How do you want them to? What are you looking to hear from the community? And what have you been hearing thus far, anecdotally, about what people need? Because you want to hear what folks are saying. And I say climate survey. Basically, it's like a needs assessment, essentially, right? Yes. Taking a temperature. Talk to me.
So what I'm really looking for is honesty. I want to know people's experiences and what they're seeing in us. I want to know where we're doing really well. I definitely want to know where we're falling down. Where aren't you feeling serviced? It's not just about students. It's about that customer service across the board. So when you come in to register your children, how are we doing? When you need services, whether it's a student with a disability or whether it's a transportation issue, whatever those things are, tell me your experiences and how do we get better, as well as when we talk about partners and partnering with community folks and community agencies, is that being useful? Because our idea is to make sure that people are in our schools that know our kids and know our families. And that's a nice bridge to making sure that we're communicating well and taking care of people. So that's part of the philosophy. What I'm hopeful of is people will share true experiences with us. I will be honest that my pet peeve is the social media, because I feel like as a district we get blasted about things that we can't even defend or talk about.
Because you don't know about it, or is it because
legally most of the time we can't speak to it?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Anything to do with personnel we can't speak to. So even on social media we can't. So when people are saying things and the information is 95% wrong, we can't even clear it up. So that's the type of things that I'm saying. As we get better at communicating with one another as an entire community, is my hope from being the best service to this community, not only students but families, community agencies, community members who may not have kids in the system. All of those folks need to be a part of what we're trying to do for the Syracuse City School District to grow.
And so for people to give their feedback, what are the ways that people can participate in this climate survey? Is it just online? Can they, when they drop the kid off, go in the principal's office and go into the front desk and get a form to fill out? Like, how do you participate in the survey?
So here's where I'm going to get myself in trouble, because I'm going to give you probably more options than actually exist.
Okay.
So online is definitely an easy way.
Go to Syracuse City School District website, scsd.us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm sure that we have paper copies in buildings.
Okay.
That's probably a little more limited.
Right.
But we also have our Office of Family Engagement. And I would tell you that, knowing that group well enough, if there's a group of families that want to get together and do some things together, we can make that happen.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you want to sit in a group and maybe fill out some of those as a full, as a community setting, let's do that. So I'm extending that. We'll do it in a number of ways that people are comfortable with giving honest feedback. We'll make it happen.
You just want to know. I just want
to
know. What the student achievement is certainly a concern that you have. Can you speak to what are we going to do as a district? I say we, you. No, you like the word we. So what are we going to do as a district?
Like the word we.
What are we going to do as a district to improve student achievement? Because we are seeing that our students statistically are beginning to fall behind. And we can talk about the impact of COVID, but what can you say about how student achievement can be improved, and what are the steps you're doing to do that?
So the first part of that question I'm going to give you is a really short answer, and I think it's just a well-known that first and foremost we got to make these buildings secure and make sure that people feel safe so they can get to the academic side.
Okay,
that's first and foremost.
And you're saying that there's some safety concerns right now.
There's absolutely some safety concerns. Yes, with some of the behaviors that we're seeing, with some of the activities that's happening throughout the city. We see those things right in our buildings. So there's absolutely concern about that.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. Like some of these young people who, we've seen a couple of incidents at the mall, a couple of, which is alarming, right? It used to be, it was once, and then now it's like a couple of weeks in a row or a couple of weeks within, so that's pretty significant.
Absolutely it is. And when you're dealing with things like that, it's very hard to concentrate on the academic side that we really want to get to. So I will tell you that makes it difficult.
Do you
Not an
want
excuse though.
right? So there's a big controversy about police in school. Does that mean that you want more resource officers? What are you saying about that?
What I'm saying about that is I think the answer is the full community approach as well as student awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say student awareness, I'm really talking about appealing to students and their self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure the students know that they're worth a lot more than people believe they are. And if we can get them to turn up the heat on what they should be getting from us in that school district and our community, I think that's what's going to turn everything. I think the kids' attitude is going to be what turns Syracuse as a whole environment.
All right, so you said making the building safe. Isn't that our job though as parents?
Of course.
I mean, again, we're putting it all on the students to create safe spaces when it really should be our job as parents to make sure that our spaces for our students are safe.
Well, I think that's a huge piece of it, yes. I think what we've done, and I've said this over and over again, I think what we've done is we've brought in educators and asked them to do something totally opposite of their job. We've asked them to become disciplinarians. We've asked them to do other things other than teach. And I think that's unfair. So when I look to the community and I look to our families I need us to take more responsibility in regulating how we go about dealing with issues, because it's rare, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's very rare that people calmly take suspensions. Everybody wants to fight a suspension.
The parents, you mean?
Yes. Right. But here's what's interesting about it. When I go sit at a meeting, and the majority of those parents are saying, just kick those trouble kids out.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
Until it's your kid.
There you go. There you go. That's when it gets complicated. When it's my kid or somebody I'm involved with. So those are the pieces that I'm saying we can't be situational about how we go about business. And we have to be very intentional about giving every kid opportunities and making sure that we're not part of the problem in our systems alone. And I think sometimes the system is part of the problem.
So that's the discipline that'll help with student achievement. What's the other piece of
now,
improvement?
That was the small piece.
Okay.
The huge piece is we really, really have to get to this academic focus. And this is where I really want the bulk of my tenure to be. I want to get to the academic focus of every child improving to their individual best. And that will not happen just during school hours.
Okay.
We have to continue to work together. And I mean, families, the district, community members, the district, volunteers, the district, agencies, the district. Everybody's got to work together to start to figure out what little things can we do. It could be so much as for an hour and a half, 2 hours, stay off your phone, read. Or an hour, give me an hour, read. You know, I would love to see, and I'm gonna try to make this happen. I would love to see sometime this summer us do a book challenge for the entire city, where we're gonna read a number of books. I don't know if it's 1,000, I don't know if it's 10,000, whatever number we can come up with. I would like to see a citywide read aloud, like everybody reading. You know what I mean? Reading something. And I think those types of things will move us to build skills that our kids truly need.
Can I tell you, I was saying to, was it my wife? I said to her, I had such a good time at Van Dyne Elementary School this past week. They had their National African American Read-In Day.
All right.
And so I read to the pre-K kids.
Oh, that's outstanding.
I just loved it. I really did. You know, and I was all theatrical, you know. But I mean, just this notion, and I think I forgot what the book. Oh, I think the book I read was called You Matter, right? And was really pouring, and these kids are 4 and 5 years old, 5 and 6. I don't know how old they are, but 4 and 5 years old. But it was just, and they sat still. right? For for the time.
Yeah.
And so that just gave me joy. And I think what, just in terms of what you're saying about the phone, we have to demonstrate that joy of reading if we want our kids to so all of us can do that challenge.
That's a great
right?
point.
But
That's
the
a
phone,
great point.
right? If they see us doing this, what they gonna do? Right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yes. Yep.
okay, let's take it a step further. There are books on the phone. Yes, there are books on the
Yep.
phone.
Yep.
So we could play with that too.
Sure.
But actually,
sure.
because we have hardcover physical books, that's what we want to emphasize, right?
Yeah, and we have resources.
Right.
We can put books in every family's hand.
Okay.
And that would be just something that I think will lift the skill sets.
I think, Superintendent Davis, I think we should just go ahead and make Inspiration for the Nation and the Syracuse City School District present the 10,000, how many books? Or is it the 1,000 book challenge?
Hey, maybe I don't think 1,000 is enough. I'm with you on this one.
You said 10,000?
10,000. Why not?
10,000 book challenge. Beginning what date? We're going to do, it's done. We're going to do this.
I love this. All right.
Let's
I'm
do
definitely
it.
game. I'm game.
Okay. The 10,000 book challenge, we're going to read, and then there's some place we're going to report what we read. It's done. Because if you say that's what we got to do, then that's what we got to do.
I'm game for this.
Or we just talking, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Or we just talking. So,
okay.
So, I'm looking forward to your team putting together the details of the 10,000 book read challenge for Syracuse City School District students. And maybe one of these companies can come up with a prize for who reads the most books. I don't know.
But I'll tell you what, if I come up missing, my staff did it.
Okay. Right. But
I love it. I love it. Let's do
10,000 books challenge. We're going to make the details to follow. But going back to your original point, we have to, what was the word you used? We have to do what with this piece?
We have to be intentional.
Okay.
And we are in a place where we have to grow and we have to be academically focused. Mm-hmm. And that's how our students are going to see success. Mm-hmm. And we have to find different ways to do that. And if we do it as a team, I think it becomes probable that our kids will get there. If we keep trying to do it as individuals, I think we're going to continue to see what we've seen over the last several decades.
It's interesting because I don't know if this is my perception, but you seem to be someone who is willing to say, it ain't working right now, and we have to fix it. Mm-hmm. Like, because I've heard others talk about how great we've done, and we've done this, and we've done all of that. And you're saying, we need to do some things that help make our buildings safer. We've got to improve student achievement. We just have to do that. And it's refreshing, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if drinking the Kool-Aid or whatever, but I just appreciate you're straight up with it. Now, whoever's watching, y'all gonna put in the comments, because he said and he didn't and whatever. I don't know. But I really appreciate you saying this is what it really is.
And yes, but I'm going to say this. We do some great things here.
Yes.
There's some people that's doing great work, and I don't want to.
You need to say that too.
Yeah, right. I'm not demeaning that in any way.
Right.
I'm just saying we have to better understand what we're being judged on by the state.
Right. We
have to deal with some of those metrics that we're being judged by.
Right.
But more importantly, we need to make sure our students are prepared.
Yeah.
And I think people work hard. So I'm not telling people to work harder. I'm telling people let's work differently.
Differently. Yeah, because look, I'm married to a teacher. I know what they do.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly my point. Yes.
Yeah.
And I respect the work that came before I got into this position.
Right.
And I think great things were done.
Right.
We just
no disrespect.
None.
Right.
None intended.
Intended. Yeah.
None intended. Because I admire the people that I've worked with, and I know what they've done to put this district in better shape than it was in before.
So did it sound like I was throwing shade at someone?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't take it that way either.
All right. Okay. Just want to make sure
as a whole, I'm a realist, And my perspective is, let's continue to work together. Let's find ways to advance our students so that they benefit. I really don't care who gets the credit.
Okay.
I could care less about that piece of it. For me, it's all about if before I leave this position, we have things in place that are going to be long lasting that benefits our community and our kids. I think we will be that will be a successful run for me.
Amen. Last thing before you go, I see a lot of noise about the upcoming STEAM school. What can you say about that?
Yes. Yeah, the STEAM school I think is going to be a blessing for our kids in particular. It's a county-wide school, and I think it's going to break down some barriers, which I'm not sure everybody wants those barriers to come down, but I think it's a healthy thing. The school is designed to be 60% Syracuse City School District, and Syracuse City School District owns the school, and 40% county schools.
So who would be over the school?
Syracuse.
Syracuse. Okay. And I'm just wanted to reiterate that 60-40, but you're going to be the administrator.
Yes.
It's a Syracuse City School District school that is open to the county.
County, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's by design.
Yeah. And that's STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And it is a CT, it's a career technical education focused school. So there'll be high level career tech ed programs there. Things, if you think about things like robotics, or when you think about the arts, you can think about include like the film industry, those types of things. So it's going to be high level things, and I think, and it's not going to be an elite school. It's going to have opportunities for everyone to apply and to be accepted. So it's really more about interest than it is, your transcript.
When is it coming online?
The expectation is 24-25 school year.
Okay. And is that going to still be downtown?
Yes. The old Central Tech building. I think it's called Greystone.
Yeah. Greystone building.
Yeah. Yes.
Right downtown.
Very exciting project.
I want to go back to, before we go, to the issue of sexual assault, and if a student sees something or isn't, in other words, let's get students in the mindset that that's not comfortable for me, and I'm going to say something about it, and that there are trusted adults in these buildings that you can bring. If it doesn't feel comfortable, that doesn't mean that was an assault, but at least we should have the students in the mindset that they can speak on something even if it isn't what they think it is. At least the mindset is you should speak on it if you're not comfortable.
Absolutely. And I would say I wouldn't even limit it to the school.
Wherever you are.
If there's a trusted adult, whether it's your home and somebody you can let know something is happening that you're not comfortable with, please do that.
Right.
And hopefully, and I would add that, understand that person may be obligated to let somebody know so that we can do something about it.
Mandated reporter.
You don't want to, you don't want to mess up the trust that a student might have in an adult. So when I speak to students, I say, now, just so you understand, these are the rules. Now, most of the time, the kids will talk to me anyway because they already trust me.
Right.
But just know I'm going to be with you throughout this whole thing. Will sometimes get them to still open up. Yeah. But I try not to lie to kids, because once you do that, they're not coming back.
And the thing that I have to say that goes without saying, believe your children. Okay. And if you're in a situation where, I'm going to just say it, Superintendent, if you're at home in a situation where a child is being abused and the person abusing them is there because there's some other benefit, we've got to stop tripping about that too. Okay?
Yeah, agreed.
Let's protect our children and believe them. Start by believing them, and let's let that process go forward. I just wanted that's my PSA.
Oh, I appreciate it.
That's my PSA. Sir. All right. We talked about the STEAM school. We got into this thing, talked about the climate survey. Anything you want to say to our audience before we go that we did not cover in this particular conversation?
Sure. Two quick things. First of all, we still have a number of opportunities for our community members to come and work if you so choose. Okay. There's different opportunities here on all different levels of professionalism. So please still take a look at us, and we're still looking for folks because I think that's what's going to help service our students and families the best. Okay. So just know that we're still interested in your talents and bringing them here.
Sure.
And then secondly, I really want to thank you because every time we have a conversation, I feel as though there's a connection that we can have a real conversation and people can really see what the thinking is behind a lot of the actions that we have. I have no desire to separate the school district and our community as a whole. I see us as one. I see the problems in one is the problem in the other. And as soon as we can get more people to exercise that, I think we grow as a full city. And that's really what I'm trying to make happen.
All right. Anthony Davis is the superintendent. Tony Davis, superintendent of Syracuse City School District. Thank you for getting those snow days right this time, brother.
You had to get it in. Okay, all right.
You redeemed yourself this time, brother. You good.
Fair enough.
SCSD lead the way. Tony Davis, superintendent of schools, inspiration for the nation.